Hello. So today I'll be speaking about the paper Effective Design, the Influence of Facebook Reactions on the Emotional Expression of Congress. My name is Jacob Erickson. This paper was co-authored with Dr. Bei Yan, and we're both from the Stevens Institute of Technology. So to provide a little bit of background, first, we're seeing that social media is becoming an increasingly important aspect of digital political communication, even for elected officials. So, for example, a Pew Research Center had conducted an analysis looking at the first 5 months of 2016 and 2020, and the median member of Congress's average amount of tweets per month and posts per month. So what they'd found, for example, looking at Twitter or X, when they said tweets per month, is that Democrats in 2016 on average in the first 5 months had tweeted 68 times, and in 2020 had tweeted 130 times. Republicans had tweeted 53 times in 2016 and 73 times in 2020. And we see a similar pattern on Facebook. So both parties, elected officials, were tweeting and posting substantially more. We also know that social media design features influence how users behave. In a political context where sensitive issues often have an emotional dimension, these design features are especially important. Now, traditionally, most social media platforms have offered likes, comments, and shares as ways for users to react to others, i.e. engagement metrics, right? That's what they're commonly known as. Now, platforms have been working to expand their number of response options. And this is where I'll introduce the concept of affective affordances, which are defined as the relational enactment of feeling through the vernacular of technological functions representing discrete emotions. So a relational enactment of feeling through technology representing emotions. And the most common and well-known example of affective affordances is Facebook reactions. These were launched on February 24th, 2016 as an expanded like button. And their reactions originally included this set of 5. So love, haha, angry, wow, and sad. Eventually they did add care as well. Now, researchers have been interested in reactions and have evaluated the effect of reactions on other responses from users to posts. So for example, how do reactions impact traditional engagement metrics like likes and comments? However, researchers have not considered whether reactions might influence how users express emotions on Facebook. So this is still an open question. Which leads us to propose our research question for the study. How does introducing a new effective engagement feature influence the communication of political figures on social media? Now, to provide some background, prior research has shown that politicians are adaptive to social media feedback. For example, after members of Congress open Twitter accounts, they vote more in line with their constituents. And based on user demands, politicians have become more interactive, use more first-person language, and incorporate more photos over time on social media. Now, this leads us to propose 2 hypotheses. The first is that increasing the number of effective engagement responses available will increase the emotional expressiveness of politicians' social media posts. Our second hypothesis is that politicians will respond to increased user engagement on past posts by increasing the emotional content of their future posts. Now, to study this, we compile a data set from Facebook. And we get Facebook pages of members of the 114th US Congress, which was from 2015 to 2017. And we get only members who were active during that, uninterrupted during that time. We get posts between August 24th, 2015 and August 24th, 2016. These are within 6 months of the launch of Facebook reactions on February 24th, 2016. We then split the data into these 2 discrete 6-month periods, before and after. In total, we have 453 members of Congress, who posted before and after Facebook reactions were introduced. So we only include members who served uninterrupted and posted at least once in each of the periods. For our analysis, we utilize a natural or quasi-experimental design. So we can't perform a randomized controlled experiment to analyze how Facebook reactions impacted communication, partially because it's historical and partially because we don't have that level of access to control it. Instead, we can mimic the design of an experiment in what's called a natural experiment. So we can split the data into a time period before the feature change and one after. We compare our experimental condition with that of a control group. So we can compare our Facebook group to that of a control group. We then measure the impact of the intervention on the experimental condition after controlling for specific factors. Now, to measure emotions and to perform emotional detection on text, we utilize the NRC Lex, that's the National Research Council Lexicon, which is a lexical dictionary of words and their associated emotions. So for example, a word can have joy or anger or sadness or multiple emotions associated with it. We then perform what's known as a difference in differences technique. So the DID technique is used to compare a treatment and a control group. As I said, one of them adopts the intervention while the other does not. We construct two linear models, one predicting positive emotion usage, the other predicting negative emotion usage. We then control for the length of a post, type of the post, time period, and the politician who made the post as a fixed effect. Our control group is Instagram. So during the same time frame, Instagram did not undergo the same feature change as Facebook. There was no reactions feature, and there still is not an equivalent today. We gathered data from the same time frame as the Facebook dataset, and here we have 264 politicians, members of Congress, who posted in both time periods, before and after the feature launch. Again, the same conditions, serving uninterrupted and so forth. And Facebook, or Instagram, I should say, is a younger platform, it was newer, and so that's partially why there are fewer politicians than on the Facebook dataset. So to start, right, we perform our differences analysis using our linear models, and we can isolate the impact of the reactions feature launch. So we start by looking at positive emotions, and we find that the DID term is not statistically significant for predicting positive emotional expression. In fact, you can see the coefficient is actually rounds to 0.00. The platform variable, the length of the post, and multiple post types are significant. But again, we see that reactions did not impact the expression of positive emotions. However, when we look at negative emotions, we find a different result. We find that the DID term is statistically significant for predicting negative emotional expression. We also see that the platform variable, the time period, length of the post, and multiple post types remain significant. Now here we can see that the DID is significant. It's positive with a coefficient of 0.08. That indicates that after the launch of Facebook, the Facebook reactions feature, that there was an increase on an average post of 0.08 negative tokens or words. Now, to address our second hypothesis and try to understand more about the mechanism, try to understand why maybe the change happened and whether user engagement could be a driving factor, we built a series of linear models to see whether user engagement precedes the content change. So to do this, right, we look at our engagement metrics and we look at these 2 3-month periods and the change between them. So with the change between 11/25/2015 and February 23rd, 2016, and then the change between that period and February 25th, 2016 and May 25th, 2016. Then we look at positive or negative emotion usage in the subsequent period. So we look at the change between February 25th, 2016 through May 25th, 2016, and that following period of May 26th, 2016 and August 24th, 2016. So what we're trying to do here is to see whether a change in engagement metrics predicted the usage of positive or negative emotion usage in the subsequent period. So what do we see? So this is per politician. We have our linear models, and the paper has several more as well. I've just chosen a couple to show here. And so what we see is that an increase in likes and comments in the prior period predicted the usage of more negative emotions in the subsequent period. So when a politician, a member of Congress, received more likes and comments, that was predictive of them using more negative words, expressing more negativity in the following period. However, when we look at positive emotions as our outcome variable, positive expression emotions, we find that changing likes and comments in the prior period had no significant impact on positive words used in the subsequent period. So again, we see that negative emotions had engagement was predictive of negative emotions in the subsequent period, and that engagement metrics such as likes and comments were not predictive of positive emotions in the next period. So to summarize what I've talked about, in this research study, we analyzed the impact of an emotional engagement feature on social media, known as Facebook reactions. We found that reactions contributed to politicians' expression of negative emotions, while having no significant impact on positive emotions. And that was the first, what I showed in the analysis with the difference in differences. Furthermore, we found that increasing engagement preceded an increase in negative emotion usage. This suggests that politicians responded to engagement by becoming more negative. So there's a few implications and a few takeaways from this paper. First, we know that design features can influence how users behave on social media. Now, specifically, affective design features may influence how users express emotion. A wide variety of sites are adopting and expanding their emotional engagement features. So, for example, LinkedIn has added more to their affective engagement metrics over time. So has GitHub. Several other platforms are looking and have done various versions of this on their platform. There are also broader implications. We know that politicians are competing for attention across social media and beyond. Now, negativity has actually been shown in the political process that it can have deleterious effects on democratic values. This is particularly concerning when we factor in the reality that many Americans and people actually globally are concerned about democracy. So for example, according to a 2023 report by PRRI, 75% of Americans surveyed said they agree that the future of American democracy is at risk in the 2024 presidential election. So to recap, we know that more sites are adopting these affective engagement metrics, that they contribute to or can influence emotional expression, and that and that negativity itself, for example, when politicians are using more social media for their communication, the negativity can actually damage democratic values in certain ways or have detrimental impacts. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or want to discuss the findings any further. And I would refer you to the paper as well. I encourage you to take a look at our paper, which spends more time talking about the specific analyses as well as the, as well as some of the implications and so forth. So thank you. And my name is Jacob Erickson.